The story begins with a young hero and his girlfriend. His name is Harry, a brave warrior, and she is Miriam, a skilled healer. Their powers complement each other perfectly to confront the demons that threaten the world. Our hero, Harry, is on a mission to defeat the demon lord and save mankind. However, Miriam is quite worried about Harry, as he is always fighting and they never take enough time to be together. This has been the case since they were little. Harry promises Miriam that if they manage to defeat the demon lord and the world finally knows peace, they can marry and live together in tranquility. Suddenly, after this tender conversation, a man named Carlos appears, who is seriously injured and asks Miriam to heal him immediately. After a few hours, Carlos finds himself in his room having intimate relations with a woman. Harry, concerned that Carlos is taking too long, enters the room to look for him, as it is time to leave in search of the demon lord. However, Carlos doesn't seem to care much about the mission. He is only interested in women. He reminds Harry that he is only there because the king ordered him to be there and he cannot go against the laws. With a cavalier attitude, Charles tells Harry that, being a young warrior and a virgin, he shouldn't be meddling in his affairs. He assures him that he could sleep with any woman whenever he wanted, and even hints that he could have relations with Miriam. Harry is furious to hear that, unable to accept that anyone would look at his girlfriend with lustful eyes. He demands Carlos to stop talking nonsense. At that moment, Miriam intervenes and asks Harry to calm down. She suggests that they both go ahead on the road and tells Carlos that, once he is done with what he is doing, he should hurry and catch up with them as soon as possible. Outside the room, Harry and Miriam walk together. Harry apologizes to her for what just happened, admitting that he lost his temper. Suddenly, his gaze strays to Miriam's large breasts, but he quickly averts his eyes, embarrassed, and tries to think of something else. It seems that Miriam intends to be intimate with the young hero Harry. He, for a moment, wants to take Miriam as his wife right there, but comes to his senses. He knows that his priority is to defeat the demon lord and that, as a hero, he must focus on his mission. He tells Miriam that she should just wait for him to do his duty. However, as time passes, Carlos and Miriam seem to be spending more time together. Weeks go by, and the demons become more and more powerful as they get closer to the demon lord's lair. The three of them fight valiantly, but Harry begins to notice that Miriam is always protecting Carlos in battle. He feels that the relationship between them is no longer the same and that the distance between him and Miriam is becoming more and more noticeable. One night, Harry cannot fall asleep. He tries to calm down by taking a walk down the hall. At that moment, he notices a light coming from Carlos' room. A bad feeling comes over him. He creeps closer and peers through the cracks in the door, barely prepared for what he is about to see. To his horror, he discovers that his girlfriend Miriam is having intimate relations with Carlos. He cannot believe his eyes. His mind desperately searches for an explanation. Perhaps they are under some kind of spell or hypnosis. His disbelief consumes him, unable to accept the betrayal. He hears them both talking about him and feels an indescribable rage. For an instant, he thinks about opening the door and finishing Carlos off, but an inexplicable force paralyzes him. It is as if a petrifying spell keeps him immobile, forcing him to witness the scene without being able to do anything about it. Harry stands there, frozen, realizing that Miriam seems quite experienced in these matters. Until that moment, he had believed her to be a virgin, which leads him to conclude that this has been going on for quite some time. The pain intensifies as he remembers that he had dreamed that this moment would be special and shared only with her, not Carlos. Time passes and Harry continues to watch. He thinks he should stop what is happening as soon as possible, as it has been quite a while and they are still going on. They seem to be lasting a very long time. As Miriam being a healer, she is able to heal Carlos' exhaustion whenever he gets tired, allowing them to continue to be intimate. Carlos tells Miriam that her boyfriend is stupid for not realizing what he was missing all this time. Miriam tries to shut him up, but Carlos won't stop. He adds that he always knew she was secretly touching herself, waiting for Harry to try something with her. But that day never came, and he only managed to pressure her with a suicide mission to defeat the demon lord. Carlos assures her that Miriam has accumulated a lot of stress because of this situation, and that Harry has ignored all the signs from the beginning. According to Carlos, Harry only cares about defeating the Demon Lord, so none of this is Miriam's fault. She shouldn't feel guilty at all, because the only one to blame here is her boyfriend, who is a terrible person. Our protagonist continues to watch them, seeing how everything develops between the two of them. He can't take it anymore and stains his pants. With that disgusting, sticky feeling in his crotch, he decides to go back to his room and gets into bed, trying to sleep with that mixture of shame and despair. Days go by, and Harry finds himself more and more exhausted by the whole situation. After that night when he surprised them, he has finally realized that Carlos and Miriam have been having intimacy like animals every day, day or night. No matter the place, they always find a space to hide and repeat the same thing over and over again. Harry catches them being intimate in the woods, and, feeling helpless, he touches himself too. He knows this is all wrong, but says nothing out of fear. Despite everything, he continues to fight the demons, facing his own ignorance and pain as well. He knows that if he were to confront them now, the party of these two traitors would collapse. However, he needs both of them to defeat the Demon Lord. He is the hero destined to save the world, so he is determined to endure the situation until his mission is accomplished. Finally, they manage to overcome all the trials and reach the Demon Lord's castle. But Charles and Miriam seem unimpressed. Their faces show unconcern. Harry thoughtfully tells them that they should enter the castle right now. Carlos stops him and asks him to wait a moment. He suggests that they should go back to town one more time. Harry is dismayed by what his companion tells him. Carlos argues that they have fought a horde of extremely powerful demons to get this far, and that their medicines and equipment are worn out. He believes they need to take a moment to resupply and heal. If they enter the castle in this condition, they could die. However, our hero says that this can't be possible, as they don't have time to waste on foolishness. He cannot leave everything behind. Carlos, as if he already knew that Harry would say these words, replies that only Miriam and he will return. Then, he apologizes for what he is about to do. Harry is completely shocked by what he hears. At that moment, Carlos reveals to him that he is in a relationship with Miriam and that she is pregnant with his child. The young hero is frozen, unable to react. Carlos confesses that at first he was just playing with her, but as they traveled together, his love for Miriam grew more and more. Desperate, Harry asks him if after they return to the city, they will come back to help him. But Charles coolly tells him that he has no intention of fighting demons any longer. He doesn't believe that defeating the Demon Lord is really important. Our protagonist cannot believe such a betrayal. He is about to attack Carlos, but Miriam stops him just in time. Harry feels his world crumbling. He cannot accept what is being done to him. Heartbroken and full of rage, he orders them to leave right now before he kills them all. Determined, he vows that he will defeat the Demon Lord single-handedly, without anyone's help. Carlos says goodbye to his former partner and leaves with Miriam. Harry can only watch as she walks away, hugging Carlos, without saying a word. Finally, their silhouettes fade into the fog, leaving Harry alone, facing his fate. Our hero reflects on his situation and feels like a complete idiot. He has made a monumental mistake in losing Miriam to his blind obsession with defeating the Demon Lord. He always believed he was the hero destined to save the world, his sole purpose. Now, he is convinced that the Demon Lord is to blame for all his misfortunes. If he did not exist, he would not need to be a hero, and Carlos and Miriam would not have betrayed him. A feeling of resentment and hatred invades him. Unable to contain himself, he lets out a piercing scream. His power is unleashed with overwhelming force, spreading throughout the place. He swears he will kill the Demon Lord, tear out his entrails, and eat his dark heart. The only idea in his mind is the total destruction of this evil being. He advances determinedly towards the interior of the castle. Hordes of monsters hurl themselves at him, but they do not represent an obstacle. His fury guides him, and each blow he strikes is more powerful than the last. His sword burns with the force of hatred and despair. Finally, he reaches the throne of the Demon Lord, ready to end this nightmare. With a fierce leap, he lunges with all his might against his enemy. But just as he is about to strike the final blow, he stops in surprise. In front of him is not a monster, but a demoness of breathtaking beauty. He cannot believe it. He was sure the Demon Lord was a man. Confused, he thinks he must be trapped in an illusion and demands to be shown his true form. The demon looks at him sadly and explains that this is his true form. He doesn't understand why she hesitates. He is the hero, and if she wants to claim his head, let her do so. He has no strength left to defend himself. He has already killed her son, who was much stronger than her. Resigned, she closes her eyes and accepts her fate. Harry, bewildered, slowly lowers his sword. He reflects on everything he has experienced during his adventure. Tears begin to flow from his eyes, and the Demon Queen looks at him with compassion. She asks him not to explain anything to her, for she senses that he has suffered much to get here. Harry is convinced that killing her is the only way to save the world, to free humanity from fear and terror. However, she warns him that her death will not bring peace. All the demons will perish with her, but that will not solve the real problem. She explains to him that, like humans, demons are only fighting for survival. Atrocities are not exclusive to their species. In fact, humans are often worse, for they betray their fellows and kill for no reason. Open your eyes, the Demon Queen asks. See the world as it is. Most of the conflicts are caused by humans themselves. Who is the real demon then? Harry is stunned. The demon's words echo in his mind. He realizes that he is right. Humanity is not so different from demons. Miriam and Carlos' betrayal torments him even more. He feels that the hatred within him is not for her, but for himself and those who betrayed him. The Demon Queen, moved by his pain, gently caresses his face. You are not alone in your suffering, she whispers. Sometimes the hardest truth is to accept that evil does not always come from the enemy you thought it did. Harry feels a mixture of confusion and relief. For the first time, his anger begins to give way to a new understanding. Our hero, Harry, drops his sword and, without thinking, embraces the Demon Queen tightly. She wraps him in her arms and whispers softly, "In all these centuries, I have faced countless heroes, but none have cried in my arms." Harry tries to wipe away his tears, but does not understand what he is feeling. Suddenly, he notices the female attributes of the demoness and becomes even more confused. The queen, with a melancholy smile, explains to him, "It's nothing more than instinct. I am a woman, and you are a man. The difference between our races is insignificant when it comes to feelings." He looks at her carefully and, for the first time, realizes how beautiful she is. However, doubts assail him. The Demon Queen slowly approaches him, her eyes reflecting a mixture of desire and compassion. She guides him to a secluded place, away from the throne, and whispers to him, "Here we will be at peace." It would be disrespectful to do it on the throne. Harry, nervous, admits that it is his first time. The Queen smiles tenderly and takes the initiative, helping him to relax. Intimacy between the two is unleashed with a mixture of passion and emotional connection. As time progresses, Harry begins to feel more comfortable, leaving his doubts behind. The Demon Queen looks at him and, in a soft voice, asks, "Would you like to be the next Demon Lord?" She explains to him that demons have a long life, but also limitations. When they exhaust their power, they grow old and die. Harry listens to her carefully, surprised by her sincerity. "Why are you telling me this?" he asks. "Because I care about you. You have the power and the heart of a true ruler," she replies. He still hesitates about joining the evil side. The Demon Queen clarifies, "If all demons were evil, would that mean that all humans are good? The line between good and evil is not so simple. The important thing is to know who you are and what you want." For the first time, Harry feels his doubts dissipate. He decides to accept his destiny and become the new Demon Lord. The Queen smiles, satisfied with his decision. "You are my king now," she tells him. "Absorb my power, so that you will never again have to sacrifice yourself for anyone. Their union strengthens Harry, who unleashes his true power by absorbing the Demon Queen's energy. In time, his transformation is complete, and no trace of the former hero remains. Months later, the demon army, led by Harry and his new queen, invades the human realm. The betrayal and pain that tormented him are reflected in the chaos that consumes the world. Charles meets his end in battle, while Nydia, pregnant, is captured. Miriam's despair and repentance come too late. On the Dark Throne, Harry watches the world he once swore to protect, now reduced to ashes. In a cold, distant voice, he declares, Harry died with his faith in humanity. Now, there is only the Demon Lord. As chaos reigns, the New Order is established under his rule, a reflection of the decisions and betrayals that led him here. See you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and like.